They did a package. He starts, cleanliness is next to godliness. They did a package on Marko Stunt. He sounds like he's 12 years old to go along with him looking like he's 12 years old. And they did a package of him being thrown around by Lance Archer. And yes, it looks impressive for the big wrestler to throw the little child, 10 feet to a bunch of people on the floor. But they ignore the fact they actually booked a match between them. If he'd have just done that, if the big, mean heel wrestler had just grabbed a little guy and flung him like that, that would have got the big guy some heat. But because they actually sanctioned a match between these two and put it in the ring like the people were supposed to act like it was fucking legitimate, and then they did all that stuff, it didn't make any fucking sense. And I wrote usually everything I write whenever he appears on the screen, Marko Stunt. Why? What the fuck? And then Marko Stunt versus Brodie Lee. I am now going to take you, ladies and gentlemen, to what I know, because I have worked with and known for a long time personally the personalities involved. What would have happened if there had been smartphones in 1998? I would have seen this happen, but I guarantee you this is going to happen. Brodie Lee left the WWE under somewhat acrimonious circumstances, right? He wasn't happy with the way he was used. He wasn't happy with his creative. They tried to sign him, but he turned them down. He was going to leave. Have I pretty much got that?
That's pretty much it. Then he signed with AEW, and then he appeared on Chris Jericho's podcast. That's the way it went.
Well, I guarantee you that Bruce Pritchard, now that there's such a thing, because you couldn't get Vince McMahon to watch tapes in those days because I know it's hard to believe, but all of the writing of the television product, all of the creative team business was done in Vince's dining room, at his dining room table, right off the kitchen in his beautiful mansion in Greenwich, every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to sometimes 8 or 9 p.m. Whether it was me and Bruce with Vince, or me and Shitstain with Vince, or Bruce and Pat with Vince, or Shitstain and Ferrara, Dreadlock Ferrara with Vince later. During that period, the late 90s, you went to Vince's house and you had a meeting with him, and then whoever was on the creative team went about their merry way and wrote up stuff based on what Vince had agreed on. You couldn't get him to watch video because he would have had to got up from the dining room table, walked through this big room that, I don't know, nobody ever actually sat in it. It's just a huge room with expensive furniture. And to the other side of that room was Vince's private office that he would go in, where he had a TV and a VCR, and that's where he'd go in when he had to talk to Sean on the phone privately or whatever. And the only way you could get him to watch something was if you got him to go in there and you put the VHS tape in and blah, blah, blah. That's why he didn't see a lot. But now that everybody's got a fucking screen on their fucking phone and in their hand, I guarantee you, I'm going to take you now, knowing the personalities involved. Bruce Pritchard is sitting in a room with Vince McMahon. And Bruce Pritchard says, "Hey, Vince, you remember Brodie Lee, whatever his name was, Harper? How we tried to sign him. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to stay. He wanted to go elsewhere. Wasn't happy with his creative. Yeah, pal, he signed with the AEW, didn't he? Yep. You want to see him now? No, Bruce, don't have time. Don't want to. No, come on, Vince. You got to watch this. I don't want to see it, Bruce. Not interested. Got to work. No, Bruce, or Vince, you got to see this." And Bruce would hold Vince down practically. And Bruce would stick that phone in front of Vince's face. And he would show Brodie Lee on this television program in this empty building, which Vince would hate. And he'll say it's low production value and low class and wrestling, working with Marko Stunt, and Vince will start laughing. And he will start horse laughing. And he won't be able to get that fucking horse laugh, and it will continue, and you will hear it from Stamford, Connecticut. The idea that this fucking guy that turned down their fucking offers, that didn't like their creative, that wasn't happy in the WWE, whether he was right or wrong, has now been put in a position where on national television he was having a match, one-sided or not, in an empty building with a 12-year-old child. This, if Bruce does succeed in putting that in front of Vince and making him watch that, it will ruin everybody's negotiating leverage from now on, because Vince McMahon's reaction after seeing that would be, fuck it, let them all go. Anybody that wants out, let them out now. Don't offer them anything. Don't raise the fucking money offer. Let them go. They'll end up like that. They have given Vince McMahon and anybody who wants to suck up to Vince McMahon footage to laugh over and fucking convince themselves that they were right all along over, and that basically they don't even need to try to keep anybody from going to All Elite Wrestling just with that one fucking piece of business right here. And yes, Marko Stunt sold for a couple minutes, and then seconds after taking a big fucking move, he was up on the top and hopping and ducking, and then got planted and then picked up. He planted him with a fucking spinning sidewalk slam. It should have paralyzed him. And then Brodie Lee picks him up so he can powerbomb him, because that's his finish. 1, 2, 3. And they just killed anybody's chances of getting of using AEW for leverage against the WWE or vice versa, because Vince, if he ever sees that, will not try to stop anybody ever again from going to work for this company. There we go.
Stop ripping these. People want them.